Welcome to this video on the topic of Python programming. In this video, we're going to go over two things. The first thing being, what is the definition of a computer program? And then secondly, we're going to have a look at how we can do some basic I/O. Or, in other words, we're looking at how we can do some basic input and output. Now, firstly, we want to think about what comes to our mind when we think of the word program. And if I had to define it, the way in which I'd do it is I'd say, well, we have these programs that can be shaped like a box. We'll call it program. And going into the program, we've always got something called input. And coming out of the program, we've got something called output. And what happens between the input and output is some form of process. So basically, we put something into our program, it processes it, and then it outputs some more information or some different information. Now, what we want to do in this lesson here is we want to have a look at how we can firstly do output in Python. Then we want to have a look at how we can do some input in Python. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to REPL, we're going to log in, and then we're going to click on Home. After that, we're going to go down to Create, and we're going to go to Python. We'll wait for it to load. It'll give us a random name, and then we'll go Create REPL. Alright, we're in like Flint. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to close this bar because it's not necessary. What we've got is we've got two sections here. We've got the text section where we can write our program, so over here. And then in this dark section, we've got what's called the console. So this is where we can get output from our program and we can get input from our program. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to have a look at how can we make our program output, or how can we get Python to write output to our console here. And the way in which we're going to do it is we're going to use a command called print. So I'm going to type in print, P-R-I-N-T, then I'm going to go to two brackets, and I'll put a double space, or I should say a single space in there. And then I'm going to put in some quotation marks. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow me to tell my program to write a message to the console here. Now, the first message I want to write is hello world. Then I'm going to go up and I'll click run. And lo and behold, my program runs and it says hello world to me. Not bad. Now, this is a fairly basic instruction of what's going on here, and we can't do a whole lot with it. But what it does provide is a really simple interface for us to actually get information out of our program. Now, we don't always have to do hello world. We can change it to whatever we want. So we could say print, what is your name? Then it will go, hello world, what is your name? So what we've established here is how we can get output from our program, or more specifically, how we can get text output from our program. Now, if we jump back over to this Word document here, paste in print hello world, and we're going to break this down. So firstly, what we've got here is this print instruction. So this is the instruction to write a message to the screen. And then secondly, we have the message that we want. So hello world. So the message we want sent to the screen. Now, one thing to always note is that these messages are always enclosed in quotation marks, double quotation marks. And we don't always have to have hello world. It can be what is your name? And this program here is perfectly fine to run. Okay, now that we know how to write messages to the screen, what we want to do is be able to receive messages from the user. So what I'm going to do is I'll get rid of this line here, and then I'm going to change it to the instruction input, so INPUT. Then I'll open up my brackets again, and I'm going to write a message, and I'll change it back to what is your name, space. Notice I've got a space here. This is really important. Okay, if I go to run this, it's going to say, hello world, what is your name? And then it's going to prompt me for some information. So I'm going to write, my name is Mr. Anderson. And I'll keep it like that with no spaces. So I'll hit enter, and it accepts the name and then does nothing. Now this is cool, but we want to be able to actually get the program to say hello back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write name in front, like so. And I'm going to run it. And it runs without problem. Next step is we want the computer to say hello back. So we'll go print. Then we're going to say your name is space. Then I'm going to go outside of the commas, and then, or outside of the quotation marks, and then I'm going to write name. And I'll hit run. So it's asking me my name. I'll write my name again. Hit return or enter. And lo and behold, it says your name is Mr. Anderson. So what we've got here is a simple program that says hello to the world, asks for your name, and then it says hello to you individually. Alright, moving this over to our Word document. We've got this in here, and our first line behaves as we expect it to from before, and then we'll go a few spaces. So what we're doing is we're using a little bit above. We've got this instruction here called input. So this instruction tells the program to collect information from the user. Now the second one is this message here. So this is the message you want to be displayed to the user when you're collecting information. So this is the question you're posing to the user. And then finally, we collect information from the user, but we need somewhere to store it. So this is a place to store the information from the user. Perfect. So that's our second line here analyzed. The next line we want to look at is this print statement. So once again, we know the print statement is for outputting text information to the console. But what we've done differently here is we've got this little message here in double quotation marks. Then we've got this plus sign. Then we've got something called name. So looking at this, the text here is the prefix, or it's a sentence that goes in front of the name. Then we have the name itself, or the information we got from the user. This symbol here, this plus symbol, it allows us to combine these two pieces of information together. So it allows us to combine this sentence here with the information from the user. Perfect. We've got the skills to be able to output messages from our program, and we've also got the skills to input or get information from the outside world. What we want to do is be able to have a conversation with our computer. So we've already started the dialogue. We've got name, what is your name, and then print your name. So your name is such and such. Let's go a little bit better. Let's get the computer to query the user a bit more. We'll go push that all the way down there, and we'll say name, we'll get the age, and then we will get the house. So we'll say age, we'll go input, open the brackets, go a space, and then we'll go 2 quotation marks, and we'll get it to say, and how old are you? Question mark space, then new line or next line, input, quotation mark, and what house are you in? Finishing it off. Now when we run this, I'll get rid of this line here. When we run this, it'll say, hello, what is your name? I'll put in my name. Then it will say, and how old are you? I am 67. Then it's going to say, and what house are you in? And I am in the house Signet. Done. Now that we can get our program to ask for our information and store it, what we're going to do is get it to display it. So we'll go over and we'll use our print command. And then we'll say, your name is, then we'll go plus name, then we'll go print, then it will say, and you are plus age plus space years old. Then we're going to go print, and you are in house, like so. Now what's going to happen when we run this is it will collect the information, then it will output your name is, then it will say, and you're in, or you are, your age followed by years old, and then it will say, and you are in the house, and then it will provide the house you gave it. So running it, hello world, what is your name? How old are you? I am 67. And what house are you in? I am in house Signet. Now watch what happens. It will collect all the information and then it will output it to me like so. So what we've managed to do is build a program that can collect information from the user, process it, and then output it. Jumping back over to Word, we will go to a new page, input the information. Now let's break it up. What we've got going on here is we're querying the user for information. And we've got these storage locations here. Then underneath, so over in this part here, this is where we're doing some newer stuff. So what we've got is print your name is. So notice we've got a similar thing to what happened up here in that you start off with the message that you want to prefix with. So this is the prefix here, and this is the information that we collected. So we're joining our prefix with our information. Join or combine. And notice on this line down here, what we've done is we've got the information sandwiched between a prefix and a suffix. Prefix, suffix, suffix meaning an attachment to the end of something, and then we've got the information. So this is something legal we can do in Python. The two things to be considerate of, notice that we've got spaces here and here. If we eliminate the spaces, what happens is we'll get an output where we won't have a space between the word are, the age, and the years. So we have to manually add these spaces in like that. Now, final thing, what we've done here is it looks like a program in that it's got some input and output, but it's not quite there yet. What we actually have to do is, well, what this is at the moment is something called a script. What we want to do is change it to an actual program. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of this, and I'm going to go over and press Tab on my keyboard. So if I bring up my on-screen keyboard and I'll zoom this in, the Tab key is this key over here. What it does is it adds an indentation or a few spaces in front. If you don't have this on your keyboard, then you can do 2 spaces or 3 spaces to compensate. So what we're going to do is go ahead and press Tab. Okay, that didn't work. Let's go Tab. So notice everything's spaced in. If that doesn't work, you can go in individually. Whoops. Individually and do 2 spaces like that. Then we're going to go to the very top, go to a new line by pressing Enter. Then we're going to type in the words def space capital M-A-I-N, 2 brackets, and then a colon. So the colon being this one here. So we go Shift and then this one. So 2 little dots that sit on top of each other. After that, we go down to the bottom and go to a new line. Then we go out of the spacing and we type main, M-A-I-N, close it up, and then we run it. And thus our program is complete. So what we've actually done here is we've converted this script over here into a full-fledged program like so. Now that our program is complete, what your job is to do is I want you to go in and I want you to modify this program such that it asks a few more questions to the user and then it outputs a new message, so all of the information back to the user. So it could be anything. It could say what is your surname, it could be what school do you go to, what is your postcode. Basically the intention is we want to familiarize ourselves with using this print instruction, and we want to familiarize ourselves with this import instruction here.